So today, teams of experts make complex decisions because usually one expert head does not contain enough information. So our question is, are two expert heads better than one? Research indicates that more heads are better than one when team members communicate information to one another. Research also indicates that experts fail to communicate information effectively. So perhaps a better question is, how can we make two heads better than one? And my research has focused on this question. I have found that teams with members who possess accurate and similar understandings of the task, the teamwork process, and each other team member make better decisions. And communication training and technology aid experts in sharing their information to develop similar understandings. Empirical support has been achieved for the tested portions of this model, and only now am I assessing perspective taking with respect to the model. Perspective taking is the ability to see the world from another's viewpoint, and it's critical for developing accurate and similar understandings. In testing this variable, I'm examining the role of mindfulness meditation as it relates to perspective taking. Now, many of you may be feeling about like this. If you hear that word mindfulness one more time, you're going to lose it. Well, yes, there is an overuse of this term. However, growing scientific evidence of how mindfulness may enhance team performance makes it worthwhile to hear about it again. So what is some of that evidence? Well, first, let's realize that most of us walk around unaware that we have minds full of distracting thoughts. In fact, 47% of the time, our minds are not on our tasks. So, for example, is that man's mind on his baby, on his book, or on neither? So we miss the present moment when our minds are full and wandering. Joan says that life is like riding on a train, sitting backward. It keeps moving, we don't know where we're going, and the past is quickly disappearing behind us. So we only have this moment, and our full minds cause us to miss this present moment. When we're mindful, we're aware of the present moment without judgment. So sometimes it will be pleasant, and sometimes it will be unpleasant. But we are accepting what is, and we are able to be with what is. We let go of the past and the future while we're just right here, right now. And to be clear, mindfulness is not about clearing the mind. However, in my experience, it makes life more interesting. Whenever you are present, you see more. You do see more dew on webs and leaves, and you see more happening in interpersonal interactions. And the beautiful thing is, we can all cultivate mindfulness by engaging in mindfulness meditation practices. And research is showing that mindfulness meditation has some amazing psychological, emotional, cognitive, and physiological and interpersonal benefits. For example, after an 8-week mindfulness training program, compared to control groups, people experienced lower levels of chronic pain, anxiety, panic, depression, stress, startle response, and rumination, and higher levels of immune functioning and the ability to regulate attention. There's also MRI evidence of changes in the brain. For example, more gray matter in areas associated with memory, less gray matter in areas associated with fear, and increased activation of areas associated with adaptive responding, creativity, focused problem solving, and self-regulation. In addition, emotional and interpersonal outcomes are also evidence, and these include increased feelings of well-being, better emotional regulation, increased self-compassion, increased empathy, and other compassion, all of which can lead to an increased ability to communicate effectively through assertive communication and active listening. Most importantly, mindfulness is associated with the increased ability to distinguish one's own feelings from those of the other, and which, combined with compassion and empathy, results in increased ability to take the perspective of others. So I've been teaching mindfulness course here, graduate level course at UT for 5 years. And here are some dramatization of students' comments shared that indicate their growing perspective taking as a result of taking the class. During a holiday meal, I could see my sibling and my parent being mean and tense with each other about a certain issue. I had never noticed that before. I felt their stress, and I felt my sadness. I was making my list of things to do and noticed I was feeling angry at my parent. Then I realized I'm not my parent. I don't need to make lists if I don't want to. But I wondered about why my parent thinks lists of things to do are so important. And finally, I was able to hold that hurt feeling and think about why they were rejecting me. It was the first time I realized it had nothing to do with me as a person. So as I mentioned, perspective taking is expected to be a significant predictor of team-related understandings, which I've shown to be related to high team performance. Now I intend to test the relationships between mindfulness, perspective taking, and team performance in teams of secondary education teachers. And by the way, Susie Allard and Rob Anderson are my collaborators on this project. These teachers will be involved in a mindfulness training program. And research has shown that teachers who do this tend to be more organized and have more emotional support in their classroom. But to my knowledge, there's been no research on teaching teams being studied as teams with respect to mindfulness. So as the project continues, I intend to offer mindfulness training to the parents as they team with teacher teams to make decisions about their children. So can we make 2 expert heads better than 1? I hypothesize by offering team members mindfulness practices to develop their perspective-taking capabilities, they will be able to better share their expertise effectively, which will enhance team performance. Thank you.